Hello and welcome back. As usual, today we'll evaluate the strategies in our portfolio that have achieved the best results in the last period. At Angler Academy, we develop automated strategies and use them in the major futures markets, such as gold, stock indexes, and more. Today we'll look at two strategies that have recently performed well on the Nasdaq, the stock index of the 100 most capitalized technological stocks in the USA. Here we see our multi-charts workspace with the two best performing strategies in the last period on the Nasdaq market. They come from Andrea Unger's personal database and the $1 Million database, the collection of the best strategies sent to us by our students. The first strategy was sent to us by one of our students in the past. It's a trend following strategy for the Nasdaq market based on a 15-minute time frame and contains several rules. It also uses the average true range to intercept the best times to place orders. This strategy has been out of sample since July 2022, and we can see that more or less from this period here, so it's in its post-development period. The strategy has continued to work pretty well. This strategy has a huge average trade and is a multi-day strategy, which means that in this case the positions are kept open beyond the end of the session. The total average trade of the strategy is $440. In this case, we have already added the commission costs and slippage that would be incurred when trading in this market. We set the average cost per trade round turn, so considering both the trades opening and closing at $50. We think that's a plausible value for this market and is undoubtedly more conservative than what we would then expect in reality. However, despite that $50 weigh on the strategy, the system has proven to be very profitable. Since the out-of-sample date, the strategy has managed to bring, let's look at July 2022, the exact initial date of this out-of-sample strategy. As you can see, since July 2022 to date, the strategy has earned a whopping $59,000, already net of slippage and commission costs. These are the last trades made by the strategy. The last trade was not very profitable. You can see that it brought a negative profit of minus $1,492. Currently, the strategy is in a short position, which means that it closed the long trade that was previously opened and then entered a short position. The last long trade, on the other hand, was very positive. You see, the strategy has opened this position in favor of the trend, let's say the short-term trend, and kept the position open for about 2.5 sessions, and managed to reach a take profit of $5,135. The last short trade was also positive and closed in take profit. In this case, the strategy took less time to reach the take profit, but we know that in this market, the short side and more in general, the downturns are much more volatile and impulsive than the upturns. Now let's move on to the next strategy. This strategy is part of the Andrea Unger's personal database and has been out of sample since January 2018. This strategy has also made a nice set of trades lately, and fortunately, almost all of them have closed at a profit. See these two long trades. Again, in favor of the trend, they made a whopping $2,075 in both cases. Then we have a slightly smaller stop loss of $1,250. And even in those cases, if you go back a little further, the strategy produces two more take profits worth $2,075 each. If we look again at the equity line of the system, we see that the out-of-sample period was favorable. More or less, we can say that it starts from this point here, and although the later years were a little more turbulent, we see a pretty sharp decline here, for example. Again, this isn't a small drawdown, but all in all, the strategy has generated excellent profits, even in the post-development years. If we go back and look at the results from the out-of-sample date, we should go further back in time in this case. We said early January 2018. Here it is. The strategy brought home about $40,000 in the out-of-sample period, so post-development. The Nasdaq is an extremely volatile and exciting market, especially in the period after the 2020 pandemic to today. We have seen very pronounced volatility, and this market is fortunately so scalable. In fact, today it is possible to trade even with micro contracts that are worth only a tenth of the contract that we showed today, namely the mini contracts. So it is possible to approach these markets even with little capital. The trend following logic that we have demonstrated with these two strategies has been very successful recently, and I invite you to program these ideas for your live trading as well.